Hi there, I'm Anushka, mum to my almost 15-month-old son, and today I want to discuss something that's really important to me, which is teaching my son about his body, consent, and bodily autonomy. So I have a few books here and some resources that I've made, which I'm using to currently teach him about his body parts, consent, and being able to advocate for himself and bodily autonomy, which I think is really important to one for himself. To feel confident and empowered about what happens to his body and also to protect him. So I have a few books here, and firstly, I just want to discuss um, these three books which are on the human body that I've been using. So there's this book which is The Human Body, which is by John Richards and Ed Simpkins. Then I have the Bare Naked book, which is really cool. I really like this one. This is probably my favorite. This one is by words by Kathy Stinson and pictures by Melissa Cho. And then we have My Body, which is by Pierre Winters and Aline van Linden Hewson, which is really cool. So these three books are on the human body. Then I have this book, which is Where Do Babies Come From, which is really cool. And it's very age appropriate as well. And Meet a Doctor. And My Body Belongs to Me, which is on consent for children. So I've mainly been focusing on the Bare Naked book, but I've also been using the other books to just go over like the internal muscles. So this human body book looks at organs, muscles, composition inside our body, skeletons, bones, muscles. And as we've just had Halloween, my son has been seeing a lot of skeletons out and about. So he's really excited to see bones, and he'll point at his body and say, bone, bone. And he knows now that there are these bones inside his body, which is pretty amazing for him to understand that at 15 months. But I think it's because Halloween has just happened. He's yet to really understand the concept of muscles, veins, arteries, organs. He understands he has a tummy, and then I say your food goes in your mouth and you go num num num, chew chew chew. It goes into your esophagus. It goes squeeze, like the wolf goes squeeze down the chimney, because he likes that in the Three Little Pigs. And then it goes into your tummy, and then your body eats it all up and sends all the yummy food to different parts of your body, and then it goes out into your bum, and then we sit on the toilet and we do a poo, and any food we don't need goes into the toilet. So he's starting to understand that whole concept. He has been doing EC. We have been doing EC with him since he was about 4 months old, so he is sitting in the toilet and going, which has been really useful to explain the function of his body and waste, and the sort of like how it goes through from the esophagus into the large intestines, into the anus, and out into the toilet. So that's been a really good book for just explaining all the internal body parts. We have My Body, which goes through, I guess, the senses and functions of the body, but it's probably not as useful, I found. But it has like, what does your mouth do? We use our mouth to whistle, stick our tongue out, eat. Then we have our arms, and then he likes this, how this opens out like this. And we have like a, not even double page, like quadruple page spread, and has all the skeleton bones inside the body. So that's a really fun one to just look at senses and how our face shows feelings, and then the internal body parts. But in particular, I really like the Bare Naked book. So the Bare Naked book is one of the few books I've seen that actually talks about genitals with kids. So it's very inclusive, has people with pigmentation, differences, and then we have people on wheelchairs, crutches, people from different racial backgrounds. It also kind of touches on like various like non-conforming gender appearances and things like that. And I personally find that really useful for my son to just be exposed to that, and not very like overtly, but just see, oh, everyone looks different. And then I'm pretty sure this is a person in drag, and there we have people with different ears, people who can hear and people who are deaf, people who are blind and people who are not, different tongues. And then the most important page for me, so even someone who has an amputee potentially with one arm. And then we have fingers, and then we have chest and breasts with hair, with milk, and nipples like buttons. Where are your nipples? Navels that go in, navels that go out, with rings and things. Where is your navel? And there's people with different sized chests and breasts. There's mama nursing her baby. And then we have genitals, and we have, people with male and female genitalia, little children sitting on the toilet getting changed. And then we have a bum page, which is here. And so I think it's really useful for him to see that this is what real bodies look like, in illustrations, and it just normalizes that these are body parts that we have. There's no need to feel shame over them. I have been teaching him how to say his own body parts. He has a little baby boy, anatomically correct baby boy doll, and we go through the body parts on the doll and on himself. So he is able to identify, nose, mouth, ears, eyes, chin, neck, head, hair, shoulders, knees, toes, bum, penis. He does say pinch for penis. So I am really happy that he's understanding these things and able to name all of his body parts, because this is one of the most important things for children to be able to name their body parts when trying to tell an adult that they have been sexually assaulted. I don't know how to stress this point enough, but 1 in 9 girls under the age of 18 and 1 in 20 boys under the age of 18 are being sexually assaulted or abused. So this is extremely important, to give your children the language to be able to tell you what is happening to them. In 7% of the cases, it's been a stranger. 93% of the time, it is someone that they know. So either, I think it was like 53% of the time it's an acquaintance, and then the rest of the time it's a family member. So this is really important for them to have the language to be able to tell you, or they're not going to have the words. Yeah. So the Bare Naked book. Now we will move on to this book on Meet the Doctor. So when I talked to my son, I explained to him that he has parts of his body that are very private and personal to him, and anything that is covered when you go swimming is stuff that no one else should be touching. So that's his penis and his bum and his testicles. And I explained that Mama and Appa will wash him when he has a bath, or change his diaper to wipe him and make him clean. Or if he goes to the doctor with us in our presence, then the doctor may need to examine him there if they need to check anything, and that we will be around when that happens to make sure he's okay. So in this Meet the Doctor book, we kind of address that a bit. So it talks about what do doctors do in our neighborhood. Surgeons, doctors check, pediatricians check, as a doctor checks ears and check for kids, and then obstetricians take care of pregnant people and newborns. And then we have cardiologists, and then how the doctor will check them, say, does this hurt? No. And check their belly and things like that. And then the doctor may check their foot and things like that. So when we're going through this book, I tell my son, oh, Mama and Appa will always be with you when the doctor's checking you, and if there's anything that you don't like, you can tell us, and we will be there to make sure that you are okay, and the doctor will only touch you with us around. Yeah. So this is a really good book to kind of introduce Meet the Doctor. It's a in our neighborhood book, and they have different occupations in the neighborhood to introduce to your child. Next, I also have these resources that I've made, which are back and front double-sided. I have 8 body part cards. So I go through the body parts. So we have eyes, mouth, and my son will point to his eyes, his mouth, and I've made 8 of them. I will build on them over time. I do also have here like tongue, ear, where are we? Yeah, I have one for penis and then bum, and my son will point to his penis and bum. So we have these 8 body part cards, which is also part of the stuff that I'm doing with him on this work. I have feelings cards that I've made 3 double-sided feelings cards. So is I feel sick and I feel angry. And sometimes we'll sit and we'll point to them and we'll say, how are you feeling right now? And we'll go through each of the cards, and he'll usually point to excited or happy, which is this one, and he'll tell me how he's feeling. And he whenever he says excited, he's just like excited, which is very nice to see that that's what he genuinely feels most of the time, is happy and excited. We also have this book here, which is Where Do Babies Come From? So I have briefly read this to him, and it's been really cool to see how he will give this baby a hug. And then we look at how different babies are born. So we have